Be afraid, be very, very afraid of this man, Lawrence Joseph Brown.
It was something you might step on in your front yard and want to get it off the bottom of your shoe immediately.
Brown's been convicted of the most heinous sex crimes imaginable. His victims, innocent little girls, second graders.
She was able to take the parts of the male doll, put it on top of the female doll.
She told you details that no little girl should know, but it was essential for you to know.
She was very, very detailed.
Brown has spent more than 25 years behind these prison walls in Chino, California, and that's where law enforcement wants him to stay.
We should never have to take the risk that he might injure another young girl.
Now, a Crime Watch Daily alert. This serial child rapist could be released any day and could be living right next door to children.
It's the kind of nightmare that any parent fears could happen to their children.
But this brave young woman could hold one key that could keep this animal in his cage for good.
After all these years, do you feel fear if Lawrence Joseph Brown is released?
I'm still afraid. To be honest with you, I'm still afraid.
Nimol San was just 7 years old when her innocence was violently stripped away by Lawrence Brown.
I have a 6-year-old daughter, and she's going to be 7 in April. And I can't imagine letting anybody who's that mean and awful out, who could potentially do that same damage to somebody else.
Nimol's never talked about her terror on television before, but she wants anybody who has the authority to let Brown out of prison to hear her story.
So you're saying your daughter and anyone else's daughter would be at risk if he were let out?
Yes.
Nimol San and her family had already lived a life of hell by the time they arrived in Southern California. Cambodian refugees, dirt poor, and spoke little English, but for the shy second grader, it was still the American dream.
I was very happy. I love going to school. Never want to miss one day of school.
In fact, Nimol had never missed a single day until that one terrible October morning. The tiny 34-pound girl was walking alone when just a few blocks from school, she noticed an unusual van.
All of a sudden, I spotted a red van parked there, and I didn't think much of it. I just kind of quickly walked by it.
But by the time little Nimol heard the passenger side door creak open, it was too late to run.
I hear somebody from behind just grab me with his big hand over my nose and my mouth and picked me up and opened the sliding door, threw me in the back of the van so quickly. When I realized what was going on, I started to scream, "Let me out, let me out."
Tragically, no one hears her cries for help.
He turned the music on really loud so that it kind of drowned away my screams.
Nimol says Brown then drove her to a vacant parking lot and put a razor-sharp knife to her throat.
I remembered him parking next to a garbage dumpster, and he would threaten me by, opening the door and just saying, if you don't do what I say, I'm gonna cut you up and I'm gonna throw your body into the dumpster.
What happened next inside that van to little Nimol is heartbreaking to hear, but she wants people to know the evil of Lawrence Brown.
He took my clothes off. He took his pants off. He showed me his private parts. He would grab my hair and would tell me to do things that I don't want to do, and just being hurt, in a way that no child should ever go through, at age 7.
At 7?
At 7. The pain, through my abdomen area and this whole hand through the mouth and the nose, you can't breathe.
He could have killed you.
Yeah, he could have killed me. I mean, he did grab my hand and put my whole face down and had me perform, oral sex.
Did you plead with him?
I did.
What did you say?
Please stop, I want to go home.
Did he continue to do what he was doing?
Yes.
How did you survive this?
Yeah, I was thinking of having dinner with my family.
While he was raping you, you were thinking of good times with your family to survive.
Mm-hmm. And then just thinking how my mom just held me in her arms.
After hours of torture, Brown tells Nimol to get dressed, then uses his shoe to kick her out of the red van.
He told me not to look back, so I didn't really and notice where I was going. I can barely walk, but I had to walk because I thought maybe I can get home.
But you walked a mile by yourself crying.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, a store clerk spots Nimol and calls the Santa Ana police.
When you first saw Nimol, what did you think?
She was so tiny and petite and delicate. She was like a little doll.
She was about the size, I think, of, in my estimation, a 4 or 5 year old.
Nimol was too young to understand the beastly things Brown had done to her, so detectives used anatomically correct dolls to find out the gut-wrenching details.
She did not hesitate in telling me what happened to her. It was almost as if she was eager to tell what had happened to her.
Details so disturbing, it rattled even this seasoned cop.
Using the dolls, she showed that he had entered her, and she said it would hurt, and she was crying. And then she said that after that was done, he had her put her clothes back on, and he slapped her again, slapped her booty, and said, "I don't like you anymore."
A rape kit taken immediately after Nimol's attack confirms everything she told detectives.
Everything was consistent with what she said.
Everything was consistent.
Since Nimol was so precise in describing the vicious attack, detectives began to wonder if this tiny 7-year-old could actually help them catch the animal who did this to her.
You were 7, you were raped, you were traumatized, but you were taking visual notes
Yes.
to catch him later on?
Yes.
Nimol stunned detectives. She remembered every single sickening detail.
She had unbelievable recollection of that van and the suspect. She described the van to a T. She described the suspect just outstanding. And her description actually of the van is what made the case for us.
And it's one particular detail that leads cops right to her rapist.
How did you remember that detail?
Because when I got out, I looked at the whole van. I walked and I saw it.
Up next, what was it that helped these two dogged detectives catch a child rapist?
Well, I wanted to beat him with an inch of his life.
And why Nimol is once again living in fear.
If he gets out, what if he's angry at me? Are you the one who put me in prison?